This video describes the signing and witnessing process in iLabber. So, we have an experiment and we finished working on it. Remember, the experiment must have a title and it must belong to one or more projects. So then when we finished working on the experiment, we're going to submit it. And then we click on this Submit button at the top left hand corner. We can submit the entire experiment or just from the first section down to the section which was highlighted when we pressed the button. But most usually we submit the entire experiment, so I'll click OK. Now what iLabber is going to do now is going to lock all of those sections in the experiment so they can no longer be edited. And it's going to create a PDF document. Now first we need to choose who is going to witness this experiment. So I choose the witness and click OK. So here's the PDF document of the experiment. So we can look at that and check that everything is okay. If we wish, we can add some comments here so that the person who is witnessing can see those comments. But otherwise, again, we click on OK, and then we enter our iLabber password, which will then enable us to add an electronic signature to that PDF document. So that experiment is now signed. You see here at the bottom there's this padlock to tell you that the experiment is locked. It says end of part 1 and there's the date of the submission. So let's now go and log out and log in as the witness. So if I log out, log in as the witness, that experiment is now here waiting to be countersigned by you. The witness clicks on this link, they read the entire experiment, read it and understand it, make sure everything is correct. They can read the author's comments, they can add their own comments, and then they either choose to countersign the experiment if everything is correct, or if they find an error they can reject it and send it back to the author. If they reject it, they must add some comments as to why. But we'll countersign the experiment, the witness types in their password, and now that PDF document has 2 electronic signatures. So that's the simple signing and witnessing procedure. If we wanted to reject an experiment, I can just click on it here. I add some comments. You forgot to add something. And then I click on reject. You get reminded, are you sure you want to reject it? And I click OK. And that experiment is now sent back to the author, who can edit it and correct it. The audit trail for the experiment will show all of that process. If I log out and go back in as myself again, there are a few other things you can do. When you have submitted an experiment and signed it, you may suddenly realize that you've left something out or you've made a mistake. If you go to your experiments waiting to be countersigned by the witness, if the witness hasn't signed it yet, you can bring it back for editing. You do that by clicking on the experiment, and it will open in this Modify Submission window. So here is the experiment PDF, and you have a few things you can do here. One of these is you can change the witness. So I can change the witness to a different witness if a person is on vacation or something. Again, you'll need to add some comments as to why to do that. And you can also revoke an experiment which is to unsubmit it. So if I add some comments that I forgot something, I can now revoke that experiment. Again, I've asked him I'm sure, and I say yes. And that experiment is now back in my current experiments. I can edit it and edit those sections, edit the submitted sections because it's been unsubmitted, and then I would submit it in the usual way. Remember that even when an experiment is submitted and those sections are locked, you can always go in and add more sections, and those sections will then have to be submitted separately and become a separate PDF with its own signatures. So there's the overview of the signing and witnessing process in iLabber. Very simple, but gives very strong intellectual property protection.